introduction.
Oh, yeah. Ready?
Go for it.
Welcome, everyone, back to Let Society. We thank you guys for joining us again. And if it's your first time, thank you for checking us out. We appreciate it. We hope to put out, more good content, more stuff that actually, that makes you think, things maybe you haven't heard of or thought of before, other perspectives on things, whether it be, biblically speaking, society, just different aspects. And, we hope to continue to put good stuff out there for you guys. Today we wanted to talk a little bit about DeSantis's immigration bill. I think it's SB 1718. One of our viewers asked us to do a talk to talk about it. Viewer is actually my brother. So he thought it'd be a good, interesting topic for us to discuss, especially since there's a lot of controversy since we live in Florida on what that bill is all about and how it affects our economics here, our industries here. Being in Florida, we have a lot of immigrants in Florida, a lot of undocumented immigrants as well as documented. And so it's kind of been an interesting topic in regards to that. Like any bill that's passed, you have a lot of people who say one thing about it that isn't true. It's usually like 80% true, but it's that 20% of wrong that everyone gets worked up about. TikTok, Instagram, whatever, social media, they just,
Yep.
and then everyone just goes crazy about it.
Yep.
You could even talk about how like everyone was talking about it in your circles, people you knew.
So like in work, in the construction field, so down here there's a lot of Latin people, say that, Hispanic culture, lots of Hispanic culture working in the construction field. And a lot of them got really scared. Some of the people that aren't documented here got really scared and they just left Florida because what they read that as, or what they heard from someone else, he said, she said, of, oh, well, DeSantis is just kicking all the Hispanics out of Florida.
Yeah.
He's just going to deport anyone that's not documented. So we're getting out of here. It's like, whoa, what are you talking about? Which that was not the case.
Yeah.
Not even by a stretch. It was not the case.
It would be like economic suicide if that's what he did.
It would be bad.
It would not go well for DeSantis as the governor if he kicked out all the illegal immigrants.
That would be really bad. It's kind of a catch-22.
Yeah.
You got the really good ones who do the really good work and do the work that honestly a lot of people don't want to do because it doesn't pay well. And then you got the bad ones that just mooch off of everything. They say they got 17 kids and they're living in this tiny little apartment where they got like 2 kids and they're using all their nieces and nephews and they're getting just hand over fist money off of welfare checks and just sucking the system dry, which we're paying for in our taxes. Yeah, it's frustrating.
America has no problem with immigration.
Not at all.
And people we're all products of it. You're at one point or another is a product of immigration.
Yep.
I think everybody, for the most part, actually everybody in Florida is somewhat associated or related in their bloodline somewhere to someone who's not from here.
I'm sure.
Even Native American tribes, if they've been out long enough and they're not in a reservation, marrying within the reservation, they actually marry people outside of the reservation. You're probably marrying someone who's got multiple different, like German, French, and everything. We're so mixed up in America now that there's so many different, groups of people.
Yep.
So we have no problem with immigration. The problem is immigration that's not beneficial as far as like if you don't go through the process, you don't get your legal citizenship. I'm not talking about people who try and it doesn't work out or it takes forever. That's a problem that needs to be solved.
Yes.
If you want people to do the right thing, then you got to make the right thing actually make sense. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying the right route is always the easier route, because it's not. But, to a degree, it's like, well, you can't expect people to do the right thing and yet not make it rewarding at all.
Right.
There is a sense of if you don't reward good behavior, it's not a good system.
Nah.
You know what I mean? We see that happen all the time. It's like, well, okay, you can be an illegal, but you get all the benefits of a citizen, except you don't pay the taxes, you don't pay all these things.
Yeah.
So it's like, then why are we doing what we're doing if we're going to end up at the same spot?
Yeah.
And then even at the end of that, they'll probably still get more privileges because of all these stupid programs.
Again, another catch-22. It's really hard for people to get in if they want to do it the right way.
Yeah.
But then, like you just said, they got to pay taxes. They got to wait X amount of years before they actually get a citizenship. They got to go through all these loops. And the people that just come over here illegally, okay, whatever. We can work if we want. We can mooch if we want. Do whatever.
Yeah.
No big deal. Oh, yeah, and I'll bring all the kids over, too. So that they have asylum here and they're citizens.
Yeah, unfortunately, in a lot of the cultures that do come here from places that are worse than here, that's why they're here, is because they have been conditioned. Not all of them. A lot of them, though, have been conditioned through their own circumstances, their own governments, their own cities, the whole just take for me and not think about others. They may think about their family members, a couple of their friends, their family, but like they don't mind taking advantage of the system because where they're from, the system is always taking advantage of them.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Here with all these migrants, though we're grateful for what we do get.
Yes.
As far as like, there's a lot of, if you go to any construction site, the guys doing the work,
laborers, yeah,
they're usually Hispanic or black.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of white people.
It takes a second look when it's a white guy walking around at a labor crew. They're like,
yeah, and it's not racist, but they probably assume he's a super or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's just how it is because they're the people that are willing to do the crappy work.
Yeah,
because maybe they're not supposed to be here legally, or maybe they are, but they're just hard workers. I'll tell you what, I've met some really, really hard-working guys out there.
Oh, absolutely.
They're great, and they're not technically supposed to be here, but the problem is that our economy runs off of that.
Yeah.
Because
it's accustomed to it now at this point.
Yes, because the pay, they're getting paid less. They're getting paid less than if someone was documented.
Yeah.
But they're still here and they're still making the money.
Yeah.
So.
And they don't have the same costs a traditional citizen would have.
Right.
So,
it's tough.
Yeah, and to add to that, anytime you want something to stop, because it's only going to get worse. If you don't cut it off now, or attempt to make it more difficult than it is, it's only going to get worse, and our economy is going to continue to become more and more and more dependent on something that shouldn't be happening to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not right. So it's better to rip off the Band-Aid now than to do it later when it's worse. It should have been done earlier. But it's better to do it now before it's waiting even longer. Because realistically, you got to have consequences for when people are not, doing the right thing. If you don't have consequences for unlawful or wrong behavior, things that aren't right, I'm not saying coming here is wrong, but you got to do it the right way. If you don't have consequences, people are just going to keep doing it. Because look at Chicago, look at, New York. Look at all these places that these big grocery grocery stores too, because Whole Foods I think is pulling out in some of these places. Whole Foods, look at State Farm, you look at Walmart's. They're closing and leaving these big cities that are not tough on crime because they're getting screwed over big time, and it doesn't make sense for them to stay there because you don't have harsh enough consequences for bad behavior.
Yep.
And I'm not saying you got to be like brutal. I'm not saying you got to be super like. You don't want to infringe and be tyrannical in a sense, but you still got to hold people accountable. Mm-hmm. So, we can go over some of the laws a little bit. I don't have all the details. I did go through a lot of it, but based off what we understand is really what we're speaking on.
Right.
Some of these things we could be wrong on, but from how we've understood it, I listened to videos of lawyers explaining it, especially the key portions that people were concerned about, the misconception stuff. Yeah. Because there's a lot in this bill, but the main things that people were getting messed up on is really what we're going to be talking about a lot, or at least in the time when we speak. But like, there was a misconception thinking that he's going to kick out all migrants, and that's not the case.
Nope.
Like we said, that'd be suicide for him as a governor, and economically, we're a flourishing economy. Part of that is because of what we already have in place, which is we have the immigrants here.
Yep.
Like everywhere else, you tend to depend on them to a degree. So that's just not the case. He's not kicking them out. What he doesn't want is he does not want people coming into Florida
Yeah.
that are not documented.
Yeah.
That's illegal. That is being if you transport someone, if you transport someone into Florida who is undocumented and they don't get inspected or vetted to go through the process,
Right.
they consider it now, I think, human smuggling.
Ooh.
It's considered trafficking.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if it's a second-degree felony or something.
It's up to 15 years in prison, though, isn't it?
It might be. If it's a second-degree felony, then yes. But I'm not sure the specifics of the penalty of that one.
Oh,
but
right.
that is the overall. That's the idea. The idea is to keep people out of Florida who shouldn't be here, to make it where, hey, I can't go to Florida because I'm gonna get busted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the consequences are bigger than I want.
Yeah.
Now the other things that were in there were driver's license. There's some cities, some counties, some states that will give IDs to undocumented immigrants.
Like California.
Like California. I think New York does it too. So if you're here, let's say you're already here and you have that driver's license, Florida does not honor those licenses.
Right.
So if you're caught driving with one of those, you don't get put in jail or anything, but you get a citation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
like
if
having
you're
an expired license.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or an insurance. You don't have insurance. You're going to get a citation. They're not going to lock you up right away. They're not going to... You get a citation.
Right.
You get a warning.
Mm-hmm.
I think citation and warnings are not the same thing. But you get a citation. In theory, it's like a warning. Before a greater thing.
Yeah.
For you get in trouble for greater. But there's that. And then there's also... I think I read it. It was a second-degree felony if a permanent resident brings a child over that's undocumented and does not get vetted. That's considered a second-degree felony, up to 15 years in prison. It sounds harsh, and to a degree it is. But you got to think about it. Don't think, if someone brings their baby. No, if it's a baby and you're a permanent resident, you probably had that baby with you this whole time. I think this is more the concern of people who have their kids in other places. They've been here for a while. They finally bring their kids over. Remember, a child is between, I think, obviously infant all the way to
17.
I think 17, 18, you become an adult. So you got to think about it. You don't want people bringing their 16, 17, 14, 13-year-old kids over unvetted. Those are new people being introduced into our economy, into our systems, our schools, our workforces. That's undocumented, taking money from it through Medicare or other services being provided, and we don't have a full record of them.
Right.
So therefore, we don't really know the full effect that they're having on our economy because they're not documented. There's no way of checking it. They're not in the system.
Right.
And though, go ahead. I think you're
real quick, just to take a step back from all that. This is not just Hispanic people.
No.
There are more than just Hispanic people coming across the border, specifically the Mexican border. Anywhere from
the majority of it, though.
A lot of them, yes.
It's like 75%.
Right, but what's the 25%? You don't think that some people are sneaking in here to do some crazy crap?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Some Chinese, some Russians,
That for sure.
Yeah. It's an open border, basically, and there's bad people that are coming in to do bad things that they should not be doing.
Yeah.
Bottom line. But taking it all the way out, it's not just, the Hispanic culture. There's other people coming in, and, if they're Arabic and they're Muslim and they believe in as many Christians as they can kill, they get more reward in their heaven. If the 16 or 15-year-old kid has already been taught that.
Radicalized.
Yes, radicalized, and they just play pretend to get through the border to Florida, they could do some nasty stuff here.
Yeah.
They could raise another generation of people just like that.
Yeah.
And then what? I think that's also a big part of it too. It's not just Hispanic culture, even though that's a big part of it, might be Hispanic culture.
Yeah.
But it's also for the rest of the people. You got to think more than just one piece of the pie here. That was my little ramble. Yeah.
And to add on to that, not saying that we think, we are for freedom.
Yes,
we are for liberties.
Yeah.
Honestly, if we were to go back to the beginning of things, I don't think we should all have to be registered at all if you're going to really be a free people. Like, why should I have to It's like I don't think anyone should have to get a concealed carry permit to a degree. Like I think that's in our Constitution. Why do I need a permit? That's technically this no different than getting a tax to own a firearm.
Yeah.
We think that's wrong, but yet we are okay with a concealed carry permit. You have to pay $95 or whatever, go through the courses. What we argue against, so like ideally I think it's in our Constitution we shouldn't have to get a permit. And we don't even need a law to say we can carry without a permit. It's in the Constitution.
Which DeSantis did pass the constitutional carry law.
Yeah.
It's concealed carry. It's not open carry. So no 44 Magnums outside your belt. That would be sick.
Yeah.
But you can constitutionally carry in the state of Florida concealed carry.
Yeah. That was one of the bills he signed at the same time as this bill.
Yes. There were a couple. These are kind of hand in hand. But July 1, 2023, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This year.
That's what happened. There's all this. A lot of this happened all on the same day. So another caveat, but there you go.
Which we'll probably talk about that too, because there's some details I think people don't understand about that bill.
Yeah, someone was asking me about that. They were like, "Oh yeah, now I can open carry." Like, no, you can't.
Same thing,
No,
like with the immigration thing.
Yep.
People don't. They read headlines. They listen to TikToks. Think, oh, I can carry a gun now. There is some stipulations. There's things that you need to know.
Yes.
Like there's certain places you still can't carry. Like it always was. You can't go to banks. You can't go to schools. Back to what I was saying about the people coming in.
Yes. Felony.
Yes.
Bringing their children over the line.
Yes, but even with the percentage of people who come, the reason why this bill is a thing, because we're not talking about like people coming from the ocean side, people coming from Cuba. We're not talking this. The problem isn't all because of that.
No.
The issue we're having is this huge amount of people, one, entering our country who shouldn't be.
Yep.
Illegally.
Yep.
Like I said, all for immigrants. Let's put money, rather than putting money into 90,000 IRS agents, let's put money towards fixing our immigration system so it's smoother, cleaner, more effective for everyone to benefit from it.
Absolutely.
But then and forget Ukraine. Let's fix our stuff.
Another podcast.
But we have 70. I think it was like I looked at the statistic. It was 75% of immigrants were coming from Central and South America.
Okay.
And we both know they can't come to Florida. They're not coming through the ocean.
No.
They're coming straight to the Mexican border,
Yep.
and they're making their way here.
Yep.
Because Florida is a desirable place. Most people don't fully know why they want to be here. Miami's a big name. Everyone knows about Miami, maybe. And they go to these places. So a lot of our problem isn't coming from people entering our state from the ocean,
Right.
they're coming
from the
through
border.
from the border.
Right.
So, we don't mind. Other people want to keep them in their state, fine. But if you want to be here, there's rules. It wasn't like all of a sudden I'm doing an executive order, no more people coming in.
Right.
But there's a process.
Yep.
And and also to clarify something, permanent resident is pretty much is a green card. Person with a green card, not the same thing as a U.S. citizen. Different benefits. You're not technically a U.S. citizen if you have permanent residency.
Right.
You can live, you can work anywhere in the U.S., but you're not a resident of the U.S. You're not a citizen of the U.S.
Yeah.
So you don't have the benefits. I think of like embassy stuff. Like when you're overseas, you don't have the privileges of a U.S. citizen. You don't have, you're still a Mexican or Guatemalan or Caribbean or
Citizen.
Jamaican. You're a citizen of where you
Right.
came from.
Yes.
You're just a permanent resident here.
Right.
So you don't have dual citizenship.
Yeah.
You're not citizen here. You don't have the same privileges.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the same rights, I should say. Like, I wonder even how that works with the Constitution. I would imagine with the Constitution that goes to U.S. citizens, not just residents.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. So, do you really have your Second Amendment right? Do you have your?
I don't think so.
Do you have your First Amendment right? Does that just apply to U.S. citizens?
We can make a short about that.
We'll look into that.
We'll look into that.
We'll make something about that.
We're going to try to do some, maybe not YouTube shorts, but maybe like Instagram shorts. Maybe,
Yeah.
like shorter videos to pack some information in there so it's not a 45-minute podcast.
Easier to swallow.
Yeah.
Easier to actually spend time to watch.
So if that's something you guys are interested in,
Yeah.
let us know.
And if there's anything you guys ever want us to touch on or research about, because maybe you don't have time, maybe you just want someone else to do it, and then we try to regurgitate the information, put it in the comments or something, and we'll look into it and we'll try to do a video about it, explaining it or looking into that thing.
We try to keep it as factual as we can because
Yeah.
opinions get thrown around everywhere. It just turns into another talk show.
Yeah.
Nobody really wants that.
There's enough opinions. We just try to provide as much facts.
Yeah.
And a little bit of our own take on it.
Sure.
So a little bit of
Yeah.
an opinion, but
Right.
you know, we try to keep it as much to the facts as we can.
Right. So, anyhow.
Yeah.
There's that.
I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
I think so.
Oh, cool.
So
Well, that's it. Till next time.
till next time.
See you later.